It is Thursday. What is today? The 27th of January. Can you believe we're already a month in? Okay. A couple of reminders of things. Coaching calendar, stay on my coaching calendar, stay on Rob's coaching calendar. As a reminder, foundations agents, you're primarily gonna get the best benefit out of meeting with myself and with Rob. And by all means, are you entitled and is Mike available to you? Of course he is. His focus is going to be on some of our more experienced agents. But where you're at in your career, you're going to get the best utility out of meeting with one of the two of us. And you know, if you do have a meeting with Mike, by all means, you're welcome to get on his calendar. But the primary focus, keep in mind, Mike is big picture strategy, and not so much down in the details of the weeds of things like we're going to be talking about today. All right. So just as a reminder of those things, we are 1 month in. There is still tons of business happening. Anybody that tells you there's no inventory out there, we're about to have a record-breaking January, folks, with the amount of closings that we've got. So how is that happening if there are no houses to sell? That should be your answer to anybody that's telling you, well, there's no houses to sell. They're there. You just got to work harder for them. But one of the topics that that you may encounter is buyers that are burning out. And it's simply because it's so much more competitive. But guess what, folks? We've got some tools that can help you with that. Turning a regular offer into a cash offer. We're going to be talking about that a little bit next week. And some of you are very familiar with them and are using them already, and there's more coming down. All right, so we'll talk about that in more detail. There's a success on here. Iris, did you get your listing agreement signed yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Yes, there's a success story. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Glad to hear. Congratulations. Okay, so today I want to cover a topic that it may be very basic and elemental, but I hope there might be some aha moments in here for you. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about legal descriptions and how to decipher what the legal description is, how to access said legal description, how to incorporate it into your offer, and we're going to talk about several different strategies in which you can do that. All right. So first, let me share my screen. And the first thing we're going to do, this is the screen I want to share. All right, everybody looking at a realist for 617 Magnolia Street. Okay, heads going north to south. Love it. All right, so this is a property that one of my clients put an offer in on earlier this week. Okay, so I'm just pulling up recent stuff that makes the most sense. All right, so when you are preparing an offer or about to list a property, you are going to want to have the legal description, because everybody knows and is familiar with this purchase and sale agreement that has this little section right here that is what is the legal description. And you have 4 options to choose from. Okay. What is kind of the default go-to that most people use? Julius.
I use the deed book page.
Yep. Deed book and deed page. It is absolutely perfectly acceptable to use the deed book and the deed page. So you would select number 3. Okay. And so then the question becomes, where do you get said deed book and deed page from?
Realist.
Correct. Love it. Thank you guys for being so responsive. So you pull it from the Realist tax report, which everybody should know how to get to that. Do I need to cover that for anybody? I think you guys pretty much got that. That's readily available and easy to access. And so now let's look at the deed history. Okay, and we're going down to this section, last market sales and sales history of the realist tax report. Okay, so you have this section at the top, which gives you, theoretically, this should be the most recent deed that is of the deed book and the page. You should find right here. Okay, so theoretically, this should be the go-to. Okay, has anybody ever seen one of these? You also have this section down here, which has the history of the deeds. Okay, and it goes from left to right, and sometimes you'll see that this will go all the way off the page over here on the right, and it goes way back. And in fact, you know what? This is a PDF. I think the real version of this, if you actually pull this up in the Realist, you can access even further back than this date. But I just have this pulled up as a PDF. Okay. So, and you also have the deed book and the deed page right here. Most of the time it matches up here. Sometimes it does not. Can anybody think of a scenario in which it would not?
When the title is not recorded correctly in the wrong order?
It could be. Typically, the most times that I see this is the deed book and the deed page up here is typically the last type of, it depends on the type of deed that it is. If it is a warranty deed or a security deed, this is the last one that is recorded up here. Sometimes you'll see here, you'll see a deed, and the type of deed that it is would be a quitclaim deed. Okay, so this kind of takes you back to license when you were doing your pre-license, with the difference between the types of deeds. You could have warranty deeds, security deeds, regular deeds, executor deeds, foreclosure deeds. Gosh, what else I'm not even thinking about all of them right now. But that's a pretty good list to start with. But a quitclaim deed does not have the same weight as a warranty deed does. Quitclaim deed could be as simple as going from both the husband and the wife's name to just the husband's name, or vice versa. And a quitclaim deed might be the most recent one, but it may not necessarily have the strongest legal description that you are looking for. Does that make sense? So generally speaking, I would default to the deed number and the deed page that is listed up here. There's some interesting things as you are looking at properties that you might be able to see in the history of the deeds. You might be able to see, I mean, I've done listing appointments before where I look at the history and I find out that, you know, last year or 2 years ago, they had a potential foreclosure deed in the works, but then it was changed back, and you could go, okay, this person might have had some financial trouble a couple of years ago, and it might change your strategy in dealing with them. It might not, but it might. But the easiest way to find and use the legal description is this deed and book and this deed page, in which case you would come back to here, you would check your box, and you would put the deed book and the deed page. And that is perfectly legitimate way of filling in an offer. However, I submit to you, what happens if you get fat fingers like I do at times and you mistype a number? Theoretically, have you sold them the wrong property? Yeah, you kind of have. Is that a major problem? No, because typically it's going to be caught by the closing attorney and the title attorney when they're doing their back office work. And if you've been to a closing, you've probably seen that little one of the forms that's always in every deed package or in every closing package is the form that says we're allowed to make administrative changes, and that would be something that they would typically change. Okay, so you can use this, but now let's talk about the other options available to you. Attached as an exhibit here too. Okay, how many of us have been preparing a listing, and when you go to, you know what, let's even just do this. Let's go to Matrix. I cannot even remember. Bear with me for just a second as I pull this up. Things on the fly here. That's always a dangerous thing. All right, so here's this listing, and I do have documents. Sometimes you will see they will give you the seller's property disclosure, lead-based paint. This particular person had a historic photo of a historic house, but in this case, I do not have the legal description in here. Sometimes you will have the legal description. And in which case, you can, if you do that, you're likely to be seeing something that looks like, you're likely to be seeing something that looks like this. Okay, so this is the legal description that is pulled from the deed for this particular property. And you've got this labeled as, this is Exhibit A to the deed. It's not the Exhibit A to necessarily your offer. So if this were in the documents that you could download from MLS, you could just simply take this page, put it into your offer package, in which case then you could check the box under number 1, which is attached as an exhibit here too. Okay, in which case, would this be more thorough or more less prone to errors than if you were to fat finger a deed book and get dyslexic and have one digit off on a deed book and a deed page? Yeah. The deed, you know, the actual exhibit number. Wow. This is going to be much less susceptible to errors than the deed book and the deed page. Okay, so you always want to be as thorough as humanly possible in this. So I would tend to default to, if you have the information, use this. All right. If you are doing a condo, you would want to use this F204 condo resale purchase and sale exhibit and include that in your package as the legal description. Okay. Or alternately, if you didn't have the actual copy of the deed book and the deed page, but you had all of the details from MLS, you could put it in here. I tend to not do that because even if they put it in MLS, that's dependent upon the listing agent to put in the accurate information. It may or may not be right. Okay.
Hey, Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to doing the condo number 2, if it is basically like townhome style, but tax-wise it's considered a condo, would you use that?
If you look at the deed and the deed says that, so here's the language that you're going to be looking for in here. To have and to hold fee simple means that if it was in there and the deed said fee simple, then it is not a condo, it is a townhome. If it said that this is a condo right here in the legal description, then you would use the condo description, the F204 condo resale purchase and sale agreement. Okay. So the key language in there is that fee simple. Where did it go? Yeah, the fee simple. Okay. So, any other questions before I move on to the next topic? Take that as a no. All right. So having said all of that, let's look at the details of the legal description. All right. You may find language such as this part of it, which refers to land lot, district, and lot number. Sometimes you'll see lot number. Sometimes you'll see as in plat, book, and page, in which case you can put all of those details in here or further into, I'll show you one other place where you could put it, but you will have all of this information available to you from within the deed. However, that's going to be the case in properties that were built relatively recently. Did anybody happen to notice the build date on this particular house, the age of this particular house that we're looking at? 1892. They did not have plat books and plat pages in 1892. They only had a meets and bounds survey description. Okay, so that's why you see some additional information in here, which is commencing at a rebar set at the intersection of the northerly right of way of Magnolia Street, da, 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 da. Okay. So this is a really good, really thorough legal description. All right. And I would tend to default to this before I would default to, deed book and deed page. Again, anything that's going to be more thorough, more descriptive of the legal description is going to be less susceptible to errors and misrepresentations. Okay. So let's talk about ways that as you're drafting an offer or as you're including this information in either a buyer offer package or a listing package, how do you incorporate these things into your package? And so now we are going to look at real world. This is the actual offer that I drafted for this particular property. And if you will notice in here, well, the size of this is really small. Let's see if I can. So for y'all, does that help? I've actually attached it as an exhibit here too. All right. And then we're going to look back into my complete package, and you can do a number of different things. I could, and I've prepped this ahead of time just so I could, it's kind of like the cook in the kitchen that's already got something in the menu, something in the oven. I could simply use this as my legal exhibit attached to the document. Okay. What would I want to do here, though, with the exhibit number? Notice in my purchase and sale agreement, you want to make sure your numbering and your labeling is correct. I have included the legal description as Exhibit D right here. If I was to just include this page, could exhibit this be confusing to someone? Really could. So in which case I would want to add a text box to here, and I'm gonna call this exhibit D2 purchase and sale. Okay, make sense, everybody? And that would alleviate the confusion because of this mislabeling. All right. So that's one way to do it. Let me show you another way to do it. So I'm still working under the assumption that I'm attaching it as an exhibit, but I could also use, there is an actual GAR form that is the legal description exhibit. And it's a simple one-page form that you can attach to your document, and you can do a number of different things. You can fill it out. with the actual details, which you've transcribed from the deed book and the deed page that you've obtained. And you can also cut and paste the actual no kidding language right here. So that really alleviates the possibility of a misrepresentation of information. All right. So any questions so far?
How about just marking it down as Exhibit A?
What do you mean?
So going back to your purchase and sale agreement, because you select your exhibit letters, right?
Mhm.
So since that one already had the A, would you just be able to put it as A on your form?
Sure, you can just reorder them if you want to, and make this one, where is it? This one A and that one D. Yeah, you could do that if you want to. Absolutely. So now the question, all of this is predicated on you having this. How do you obtain this information? Can't believe nobody asked me that question.
You can pull out of public records.
Okay, which is where? How do you get that?
I Google that. I just go into the county public records, get the tax advisor, and then pull the information from there.
Okay, you'll have to show me how you do that, because unless you have an account with somebody, you may or may not be able to pull that. Okay, let me show you the easiest. I'm gonna tell you the easiest way. Easiest way to get that is either a phone call or an email to help@c21connectrealty.com. I need the deed for the property at 617 Magnolia Street. Just that simple. But I'm going to show you, if you are really interested, there's one other alternative. If you can't get it there, then we might be able to get it from Moreno and Associates, in which case you could do C21@morenoandassociates.com and ask them for the deed. They can also pull it. If you are a control freak like me, you can also obtain this information through something called the gsccca.org website. All right, so let me start sharing my screen again. Here's the problem is you guys typically do not have access to this unless you are willing to pay for said access. I can't remember which screen did I just share? Are you guys looking at the Clerk's Authority website? Okay, so this is said gsccca.org website, and this is the Georgia Superior Court Clerks Cooperative Authority. It's a clearinghouse of digitized records for deeds and other public records. So the easiest, I'm just going to show you how to do this. If you want to create your own account, you're welcome to do so. The brokerage has an account. However, there's a cost associated with this, and we don't give everybody access to this because it can be quite expensive. Okay, so for example, if I was interested in obtaining a deed for, let's just keep this all consistent for the particular property that I was looking at, the 617 Magnolia Court, I would simply come in and I would do a search. And the easiest way to do this is the real estate index search and this book and page search. And all you do is you go to and select the particular county and you input the deed book and the deed page. Everybody remembers we were looking at this property, and it was in Carroll County. And we were going to look at deed book 5601 and deed page 659. And if you happen to notice, this is one I've cooked up before, 5601 and 659. I hit search. And I'm gonna log in. You guys don't have access. That's where you will run into problems because you may not have access to this. And it'll bring you to this information page, which you just want to confirm that you're looking at the correct address. And then you can hit view image and boom. Now you have the deed. That's the first page of the deed. And then this is gonna look real familiar. Sorry if this is too small. And now you guys see this. Here's the reason why this access is somewhat restricted, is because anytime I were to click print and print these pages, it costs 50 cents per page to do this. That can get expensive. Because not only can you get one and two pages here, you can use the same system to access plat books and plat indexes and plat pages. You can use this information to get the you can get the HOA documents, which if y'all have seen HOA documents, they can sometimes be 80, 100 pages long. With the covenants, conditions, restrictions, all of those kind of things. That's why it's more difficult. That's why the easiest way for you to get this information, and I'm just showing you the tool of how to get it, is to get the help desk to do it for you, or Moreno and Associates to get it for you. Okay. If you are going to be doing a lot of business, you may want to invest in creating your own GSECCA account. I think it was like 15, 20 bucks a month, something like that. But then you also still have to pay the page charges above and beyond that. Okay. Helpful overview? Yes, ma'am. Manuela, question. You're muted.
So my question is, earlier you said you can copy and paste, and those forms that we just looked at, they're PDFs or pictures. You can't copy and paste from that.
Okay, so yeah, you can if you have Adobe, to where you can do the OCR scan tool within Adobe. Then you can cut and paste the language, or in the worst case scenario, hand jam type it out as opposed to cut and paste. Okay. If you would like a little primer on how to use Adobe to scan a PDF document so that you can cut and paste from that PDF document, I'll be happy to show that to you offline.
And Manuela, another thing is the new iPhones. If you just take a picture on it, it actually will scan the text. So you can, even if it's like handwritten these days, you just take a picture and you can, like my grocery list, I handwrite it and then it just comes into text. I can show you that too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's new. I thought I was fascinated by it. Yeah.
Okay, what other questions do you have?
I did. It was wonderful. Yeah, it was really good.
All right. That's all I got for you. And y'all, do I get extra credit? I actually quit on time for a change.
You get a round of applause.
All right, I'll take it. Take it, anything I can get. All right, everybody, have a great day. Don't forget, huddle at 11 today. If you're here in the office, if not, it'll be posted soon thereafter. And looking forward to working with all of you. I've got a bunch of coaching sessions with a handful of you guys this afternoon, so looking forward to that. And keep me posted if there's anything you need. If there's any help that I can provide, please reach out. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.